Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Tuesday night. Lovely to have you here on the show. So, with everything that's going on in the Tennessee Titans world right now, the veterans have reported, spoke to the media today. You're going to hear from Treylon Burks in particular because he is the most interesting Titan on this roster this season. I don't think there's any question about that. Treylon Burks is one of the more interesting pieces that this team has in play. They are taking a pretty big risk in telling us that he is enough, along with his teammates, Kyle Phillips and Racey McMath, and all the other wide receivers that they have put together with this group that we consider to be largely unproven. So tonight we're going to talk about Treylon Burks in particular, where our concerns and where our excitement is heading into year two. We'll also do a gone viral video because that's just what we do on Tuesday nights. At the end of the show, a lot of good stuff to get into with you guys here on Primetime. Before we get started, need you to share this show around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, like the channel, subscribe to the video. If you've done both of those things, tell a friend to do the same. And once you've done that, we can go ahead and get this thing started while more of you guys start to filter in here tonight. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. A new way to work out, a better way to work out. For you to accomplish your fitness goals, go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. Superbook Sports, download the Superbook app and wager on all your favorite sports, the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball. Your favorite sportsbook app is Superbook Sports. And the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com and use that Intel Edge for your dream address without the stress. The Ashton team is the team that your favorite teams trust at GaryAshton.com. So, Treylon Burks and breathing room today. This is, it was an interesting conversation with the former first-round pick. So, Treylon Burks, he plays in 11 games last year, right? About 444, 445 receiving yards. He had the one receiving touchdown. He did have the fumble recovery for a touchdown as well, but just the one receiving touchdown, and I think 33 total catches in his appearances in those 11 games. So it's a very, very unproven commodity. Ryan Fields is doing projections in the Facebook Live chat. He says Burks will have 1,200 yards, 8+ touchdowns this year. Well, first we have to see him be available. Right now, it's not his fault that he got turf toe at one point in the season and a concussion late in the year in Philadelphia. But obviously, they were a different team with him on the field versus without him on the field. And as you look at Treylon Burks and what he projects to be potentially, it excites you because you know that what he is theoretically gives you that top receiving option, but you need him to be available this year. So looking around at all the different scenarios for the Titans and this wide receiver core, it's a pretty interesting case study. And all right, you're putting a lot on this dude in year two because he is headlining a pretty troubled wide receiver room at this point, or unproven would be the most diplomatic word to use. So let's start with your Two Rivers Ford take. What are you most excited for with Treylon Burks in year two? Let's talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. You'll hear from Treylon Burks here in just a second, right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is made possible by Two Rivers Ford. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet for quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Nobody makes the car buying process faster, more easy, or more fun than Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So what are you most excited for with Treylon Burks in year two? Jeff Rubel says him simply playing games. Demario says Burks showed he can run the route tree and be used in multiple ways, deep, intermediate. short crosses, comebacks, reverse. We need to add to that. I mean, you're projecting a lot more detail than I've seen him have in their offense so far, DeMario. So I don't know that he can run all of those routes with the kind of proficiency that it feels like your comment is alleging. Though I do think he's capable of providing them that option. I still think that he's quite raw. B French says this is an absolutely terrible question. Well, I don't know what you want me to say. I feel like most people are excited about Treylon Burks, so I thought it was a fair question. Because what I'm most excited to see from Treylon Burks is the idea that he might be physically capable of completing this offseason in ways that last year the storyline was very much that he could not.
Did you change your diet and training and all that this offseason?
Yes. I honestly would say I started training my diet around midway through the season last year, and it helped with me being able to stay on the field longer. And, when I would just say it eliminates me from making mistakes when I'm tired, and really just being a great football player and just being a Titan.
As far as size, weight, all that, anything different for you this year compared to last? You feel faster?
I would say I feel faster because I can breathe.
On soft tissue instruction, you say you've been here the whole time, but has there been any kind of change of approach broadly or for you on how to prepare yourself to avoid soft tissue stuff?
No, sir. I would just say the main thing is being healthy. So being able to practice, being out there running sprints, that helps eliminate me from, all athletes from hurting hamstrings or tearing something. So just being able to practice is the main thing. And, that's what I've been doing.
So that's Treylon Burks at the podium today. Ken Caniff says we have a remedial section of the fan base that thinks he's a bust already. And of course, that's not accurate, right? We have to see a lot more from Treylon Burks one way or the other before we determine what he's going to end up being, right? And for Treylon Burks, I think it is huge that he's openly admitting, I can legitimately breathe easier. He looked like he was just generally more comfortable at the podium when we spoke to him today than we've seen him. He looks like he's been conditioning here. He has been conditioning here in Tennessee. He told us he stayed close to home or close to the facility all offseason long, not just to, condition in middle Tennessee as this starts to get hotter, starts to get more humid, so he can start to get his body adjusted for that. He is staying close to his coaches. He's staying in close contact and communication with Tim Kelly as the OC, Rob Moore as the wide receivers coach, and of course, Mike Vrabel. So Jeff Rubel says it correctly. He's not a bust, but he hasn't proved anything. And I think, the unknown with Burks is substantial, right? Because again, those 11 games, it's not even a full 11-game sample size. He's missing pieces, bits and pieces of those games because of the times in which he was knocked out or when he was concussed or at what point he got turf toe and was carted off the field in that way. So I think the thing that most excites you about Treylon Burks is, he looks like he's going to be able to stay in condition, but we'll get into this here in just a second in a little more detail right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by TrueMath Fitness. Speaking of conditioning, if you want to get your conditioning right, if you want to make sure that you can breathe this summer, breathe easier with TrueMath Fitness. Go and get the best workout classes possible. No workout ever recycled or repeated. They're the boot camp style classes. I enjoy the hell out of them. I know you will as well. And if you are not somebody who enjoys those group workout sessions, get their personal training options. They are excellent. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident if you want to try it yourself or to sign up for any number of their membership options. Kevin Paul Price says he's a future superstar. I believe that. Tighten up. And that's all well and good, but there's nothing, and I appreciate your optimism, Kevin, but the easy argument against that is, okay, well, based on what? Now, the Green Bay game is most famously the game that Treylon Burks kind of took over and was able to dominate in this way, right? If you go back and look at his performances in that first season with Tennessee, you saw him really, really show out in their last win of the season back on November 17th. It was quite some time ago. He had 7 receptions. He was targeted 8 times, caught 7 of them, 111 yards, and was very, very dominant. Now, he did not have a receiving touchdown in that game, but he was able to get down the field. He was able to create separation. It was his best, by the counting stats, it was his best game of the season. He also had 4 catches for 70 yards the following week in a 4-point loss to Cincinnati. Now, that was the only 100-yard game that he had last season. And again, the 1 touchdown came against the Eagles right at the point when he was concussed. So it was a tough season for Treylon Burks. His health was not on his side. And, it's fair to look at this and say, okay, with Treylon Burks, there's a lot more that we don't know, but at least if he can benefit from a little better injury luck, there's no guarantee that happens. But if he can be the beneficiary of a little better injury luck, this guy, I think, is capable of being a legitimate option for them in their passing game. He does make a difference for them in terms of what they're able to create for everybody involved. So if we talked about the thing that you're most excited for with Treylon Burks, what are you most concerned about with Treylon Burks at this stage? On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, what is the thing when you look at this Titans wide receiver and this wide receiving core and say, all right, what I don't see from this group is X, or what this group lacks that I think it could use, that it's still available, is Y, right? Give me your options for concerns around Treylon Burks, and we'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook app today, and they'll match your first bet up to $1,000, win or lose. In fact, they'll match your first bet up to $250 when you download the app and use the promo code ATOZ. That's A2Z in the Superbook Sports app for the best odds boost and promo bets out there. Whether you're betting the NBA, the NHL, or MLB at this time of year, Superbook Sports is your place to wager, no matter what the season is. So download the app. Go to superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So Jeff Rubel says he doesn't see good wide receivers depth, just a bunch of meh and trash. Trash is an extreme word, I think, for anybody. But I understand what you're saying. They are not a highly regarded wide receiving core by any stretch of the imagination. Imagine not having to sub so much and create mismatches with personnel to do to tight ends, being able to split out as wide receivers or tight to the line of scrimmage. The tight ends will matter for this passing game. It's not going to be solely based off the strength of their wide receivers. Certainly, Chig taking a meaningful step and Josh Wiley being able to contribute in some form or fashion to this passing game, I do think will matter a great deal. But my concern for Treylon Burks is that there is still a lot of development yet to do, and he's, of course, capable of this, but what we're seeing is still a player who's quite raw. And while he is coming into a situation where he has a lot of things improved about him, and certainly not having to deal with the strain of what it is to be a rookie in the NFL, he's also coming into a different offense. And while he's not giving a lot of detail, they haven't given a ton of detail. We know that the objective for Tim Kelly right now is to play faster. How they're accomplishing that goal is TBD, because we haven't seen enough of it in practices just yet. But we know that Treylon Burks and Tim Kelly have been keeping tight as of late.
He was one of the ones that mentored me, helping me learn the offense last year. And just him being the OC now just makes it even better, because we already had that connection. And so when it's something new, he's always on top of me, making sure that I got every detail that I need to know about the full concept of the play. And, he does a great job with explaining and just making sure he gets his point across.
You mentioned Jabri.
So that is Treylon Burks speaking of the relationship that he already had with Tim Kelly and now how much more he's going to benefit from that because now he is the OC. So, the concern is that Treylon Burks is completely unproven as a commodity, and that one game against Green Bay is not enough for me to declare that this player has, greatness in him, right? I mean, there are moments that we saw that were promising, but on a game in, game out basis, it is yet to be determined. So the consistency is my concern. He can easily address that, and certainly the availability would go a long way to help. Let's wrap this up with a gone viral video tonight on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. The question is this. For those of you who pay attention to sports and sports media, Pat McAfee got a massive new deal to leave FanDuel and go and join what Dan Patrick calls the mothership, right? ESPN. So fair or foul, Pat McAfee's new ESPN deal. We're going to talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch right after I remind you that the primetime show is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com and get your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com. Nobody gets you in a better position with better information on better properties than the team that your favorite teams trust. They're the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. They are the best in the business at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. So fair or foul, Pat McAfee's new ESPN deal. He's probably the most attractive grab right now in sports media. He's probably the most popular person in our industry, even though, you look at like what it is that I do, for example, and you look at what Pat does and you might not consider it the same thing, but Pat is technically of our industry, and he's done really, really well for himself in several different spurts, right? So former Indianapolis Colts punter, doing like a little bit of weekday talk show hosting on Bob and Tom locally in Indianapolis. He was doing stand-up tours around the state of Indiana. I actually saw him perform stand-up when I was in high school. He was pretty good. Now Pat is, on WWE. He's on College Game Day. He's everywhere. And ESPN just went out and got the biggest, baddest digital property that was available on the market. William Jones says foul. He sold out. Jimbo says foul of Pat McAfee. Let's see. Fair for Karen O'Keefe. ESPN just wanted Rodgers, says Rooney Glover. Well, sure. Why not? Pat, that's what comes with Pat. What's wrong with that? Pat is getting better access than ESPN is doing on their own. It's like the Manning cast, right? Peyton Manning and Eli Manning can at any point call Tom Brady, Nick Saban, and LeBron James and put them all on the same Monday Night Football show against Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It's a pretty good setup if you're ESPN, because you can just go out and buy these properties and have pay for the access that these people already have that you weren't already getting as the worldwide leader. Hopefully McAfee doesn't center to the woke liberal agenda, cater to the woke liberal agenda at ESPN. The woke liberal agenda at ESPN. I know a lot of people that work at ESPN that are conservative. I know a lot of people that work at ESPN that are liberal. I know a lot of people at Fox who are liberal. I know a lot of people at Fox who are conservative, right? Like woke liberal agenda at ESPN is not something that I am privy to, nor do I really care for the woke liberal agenda discussion, because I don't know what the hell woke is other than something that people say to get pissy about things that they don't like. So the whole woke thing is lost on me. But somebody says, get out of here, Bryce DeSantis. That is a pretty funny. Yeah, well, speaking of DeSantis and ESPN, right? DeSantis is fighting Disney in Florida. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. The governor of the state went after the state's biggest employer. And it's not even a political thing. It's just funny to see that feud playing out in real time while he's trying to run for political office, or run for a higher political office. But yeah, that whole decision seemed interesting at the time. Either way, what we're here to talk about is the situation for Pat McAfee, and now Pat going to ESPN. Now there is, whatever you think of ESPN, ESPN can ESPNify people, right? Whether that's bring out the hot takes, Skip Bayless and Stephen A., or change how a person goes about doing their job because they're working in a different structure, right? ESPN is a big place, and it's easy to get caught up in the machine. But Pat McAfee is pretty individual, and it's fair to assume that Pat McAfee is going to have a lot of personal license to take, whatever this deal looks like with ESPN. I think it's fair because ESPN is the biggest thing out there. Pat is the biggest thing out there lately, and ESPN is doing well to just go ahead and buy up that biggest digital property.
A lot of people would say, this is the last time I'm going to be on game day. The last time I allegedly did what I'm about to do, I ended up in a jail cell. Let's go!
Oh, my man. Oh, boy. Oh, my man. Get Patty.
So that is Pat McAfee, of course, diving into a large body of water in one of his first college game day appearances. I think Pat's going to do great no matter where he is. And certainly now congratulations to him and his crew on getting that big ESPN deal. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure you get your tickets for the install. The tickets are selling fast. If we sell 40 more tickets as of today, we had been 10 tickets into our 50-ticket goal to get Bert to drink a cup of coffee with mayonnaise in it on stage during the podcast, and for me to eat a banana Will Levis style. So we are very, very close to achieving that sellout that we're after for Saturday night's show. Go to 1045thezone.com. Bert will also drop the link in the chat for all of you who have not purchased your tickets, but it's going to be a lot of fun Saturday night. So many of you have already purchased tickets, but we can't wait to sell this thing out for you guys to literally make me eat my words with 40 more tickets to get me to eat the banana Will Levis style during the live show podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. B. French says, Jared Stillman is my least favorite ESPN guy behind Stephen A. Smith. Well, Jared's not an ESPN guy. Jared works at an ESPN affiliate, right? Cromwell is a locally owned company that pays for the rights to ESPN. So I guess Jared's on an ESPN affiliate, so he would be technically considered an ESPN guy. But Disney does not own the local ESPN affiliate. The local affiliate pays for the rights to ESPN radio, is how that works. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Is there film of you eating the chip? Yeah, it's on the radio show. It was brutal, and it was worth your time to see me squirm that way if you would like to. But we're going to be breaking down Treylon Burks on the live show on Saturday. Make sure you're there, 1045thezone.com for your tickets. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow when the radio show starts at 10. If you're a fan of the Tennessee Titans, the Install Live Show with Greg Cosell of NFL Films coming up Saturday, May the 20th at the Hutton Hotel. Get your tickets right now at 1045thezone.com to hear the best breakdown of Will Levis.
Really, really excited and thankful for the opportunity.
And the rest of the Titans draft class.